Hey there guys, it's Ange at Homestead Design. I wanted to share a tip today about how we organize papers. I know that we are not the only people who have piles and piles of papers. We have 4 busy kids. We get a lot of papers in their backpacks, lots of mail, lots of things from the schools, you know, all that kind of stuff. That adds up to a lot of paper clutter, and that's something that has always been kind of a struggle for us, just finding the right organization method for that. And I know all over Pinterest there's tons of ideas for organizing papers, and some of them just seemed like it's not quite that simple. You know, they can outline how it works, and it's just touch every paper one time or just deal with it right away and put it away. Well, that's sometimes easier said than done. In a busy family, you can't always empty the backpacks and deal with every paper at that moment. That would be ideal if you could, but I know that's not the reality for us, and so we needed to come up with something that was a little bit more realistic. So I thought I would share that just in hopes that it might help someone else. I'm going to show you step by step how it actually works, how we deal with papers. And so I just did this morning, dealt with my papers from the last week or two, so I'll use that as an example. So when papers come into our house, everything comes through the back door, whether it's people or mail or backpacks or whatever. Everything comes through the back door. When I get the mail, I drop it on the table. When the backpacks get emptied, stuff piles on the table. Everybody probably has a spot in their house where stuff kind of tends to congregate. You have like a little dumping spot. And I think that's okay. I think you need that unless you are a very naturally organized person who can deal with stuff immediately. I think you need a spot where stuff can just go. And for us, that's usually our little kitchen table is where the stuff sits. And so since I know that, I always try to incorporate a place to put stuff. So right now I have this cute little strainer on my table. That's where stuff gets put. And then every so often, then that way throughout the week, you know, even if the papers haven't been dealt with, even if the mail is just put there, if you need something, you know where to look for it. It's probably there on the table in that spot. It's not in various places all over the house. But then periodically you do have to deal with those papers if anything is going to happen. So I'll show you kind of what I did this morning, and I had a lot more papers than this, but this will just be an example. So I'm going to show you how we deal with the different types of papers. So first of all, kids' artwork, things like that come home from school. I like to display stuff, at least for a while, and so I will put that in our display spot. And then there was another one that was just like a homework reference kind of a sheet. It's not anything that needs to be done. It's not anything that needs to go back to school or anything like that. I'll show you where those go. So if we go right here into our hallway, and I showed you this before, our little mudroom area, I have my hanging place where I keep all of our kids' artwork, and I'll display those seasonally. So I'll hang up the Cat in the Hat there, and then each of the kids have a bin for school stuff that doesn't require any action. So this is just like homework that has come home or things like that, that eventually I will sort through and decide I'll keep a few pieces to put in their memory boxes and get rid of the rest, but I'm not going to deal with that immediately. I like to do that more at the end of the school year with kind of the bigger picture perspective. So I'll just stick like the homework reference sheet in there and the artwork on the display wall. And then those would be dealt with. And then these other items, then I would throw away any junk mail or recycle any of that kind of stuff, and then I kind of sort into piles what needs to happen with the other things. And so anything that was like a bill, Matt thankfully handles the bills in our house, so he has a spot where I put all the bills. Then all the rest of it, then I deal with. So I sort them into piles. I have one pile of things that need to go on our calendar or need some action taken, and then other things that don't require anything at the moment. So I'll take all of those into my office and show you what happens with those next. Follow me here. Okay, so the next stop is my desk. And what happens next, since if I'm going to be honest, I am seriously not going to deal with all these papers right away. So I've got some mail from our sponsor child that doesn't need any action right now. I periodically will write letters to them. Those kinds of things that I need to hang on to, but nothing needs to happen with them right now. I just have another basket. I just put it in my other basket on my desk, and that's where things are going to kind of sit. But as far as the other things that need some action, I'll show you. First, they have to get on the calendar if they're going to happen. So, for example, I have a receipt from the library. We got library books. I need to know that I have to return those on March 4th. And so I go on our calendar, and in our case, our calendar is on the computer. We use an app called Cozy, which I can manage from the computer, and we also can look at it and edit it on our phones, which works really well for us. So I put on March 4th, library books are due. And then other things like here's an activity for our daughter for school that needs to get on the calendar, and then I need to remind myself to sign up for spring sports on March 1st. So those dates go on the calendar. This would also work if you had a traditional calendar that you're handwriting on. But then what? What do you do with these papers? Like, I need to know on March 4th, I'm going to need to know what library books we had. Like, what do you do with that? I don't want this to get lost in the shuffle or just end up back in the paper pile, which is what creates those piles that everybody has. So here's my little magic trick. Okay, so in the corner of my office, I have my little clipboard system, which really is my secret to success when it comes to organizing our very busy family. And do you like my sign up there that says perfect chaos? Right? That's kind of what it is. But my clipboard system is, I've tried everything. I'm notorious for trying a zillion different chore charts and organizing systems and whatever. Always trying stuff to see what sticks. This one's stuck. I've been using these clipboards for years, and it really is the ticket for us. So what happens is I have 4 different clipboards, just because that's how I kind of separate things. So we have one that says upcoming, one for activities, one for church, and one for school. And so I will put our library receipt, I'll put on upcoming, because that's something that's going to be happening in the next week or two that I'm going to need to find this, so I'll know to find it on my upcoming clipboard. I would also put the sign-up sheet for the spring sports on there, because that's something I'm going to need to be doing soon. I also have like a wedding invitation is on there for a wedding this summer. Like, you know, you get stuff early, and then what do you do with that so you don't lose it? That's where I would keep it. If the kids get invited to a birthday party, I take the action on it right away, like RSVP to the party, and then I put the invitation up here so that when the time comes, we can look at it and see, okay, what's the address, things like that. So those are the upcoming things. Then for the activity one, like here, so I said I signed up my daughter for an after-school activity. I put the dates on the calendar, all the dates, so we know the dates and times. And then, but the sheet, I might want to refer back to the sheet just to double check, or I've got the teacher's contact info, that kind of stuff. I just hang on to those until the activity is done. So that I will put on our activities sheet, so that I know where to find that if I need to refer back to it. Church, obviously, like we have lots of Sunday school and confirmation activities, things that we volunteer for, and so I keep all the information for church there. And then school, this one generally kind of stands still. It's more for like at the beginning of the school year, you know, you get lots of paperwork, things that you want to hang on to and you might refer back to throughout the year. But then you have to know where do you put those things. I just stick them on that clipboard, and so those just kind of stay there throughout the year, things to refer back to, contact info for the schools, you know, maybe things like that. So that works really well, because then that way I've dealt with the paper when it comes in. You know, I know myself, I know I need my little landing spot where everything just goes until I'm ready to deal with it, because I can't always do it right this instant. So I've got my spot. Periodically I deal with the papers. I try to do it every week or two just so I don't have things piling up or, missing any deadlines or anything. Do that, sort my papers into what needs to happen. I take action on the ones that need it, meaning put it on the calendar or sign up or whatever. And then the associated papers go on my clipboard. And then I'll try to clean those off every so often too, but it's not anything that needs to be done often because they're not hurting anything there on their clipboard. And that way I know where they are. They're not shoved in a pile somewhere. I don't have to go digging for papers when I need to double check what library books are due, or what teacher is in charge of this activity or whatever. I have it all easily at my fingertips. So that's what works for us. It's been really helpful. So hopefully that helped to see kind of the step-by-step process of how we organize a busy family, and maybe it'll give you some ideas to try in your household. So see you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.